Welcome to part 2 of the introduction to my layout. This one will show you the command station, the throttles, how to use the throttles to throw turnouts, selecting locos and driving locos, how to uncouple different types of tools and signals and how they work on my layout. Not necessarily prototypical, but it's my layout, they work my way. This is the command station. There's a computer behind it, the screen's alongside, because the programming track is just above. You can see one dunny just above the green pointer, and the program track goes down to the end. I can switch it on and off with a switch, so I have no problems. I cannot run into the programming section because there's a dead section before it. Now, the command station, underneath you can also see a router, wireless router, so if people turn up and prefer to use a mobile phone to drive trains, that's okay, it's there, ready to be up and running. And just while we're in this end, my rollout workbench that rolls under the layout out the way, and the fan folds down out the way, and a couple of locos waiting to be worked on, and my decoder tester are on the main part. Throttle sits in the electronic rodent retainer, known by the non-technical people as a mouse holder. This one's a tethered throttle, and I shall call up the loco that's in front of us. It's a Proto 1000 F3, A and B units. The bodies have been more detailed. We have sound in the B unit, and I can't remember what's in the front unit. It was done 14 years ago. It's not a Tsunamni, it is the original LC. So we shall call up the loco. We press hash. That's not me calling up the loco, that's a train on the main line. The lights flash. 262 hash, and I have the loco. I'm 200 foot from the main line, and I am a scale 200 feet, 250 feet from the loco, so they're set at the same volume. So being loud, quiet means nothing. I set them the same as the prototype, 200 feet away, and that's the volume. I'm lucky. You can see a mark on the side of the throttle, and I'll wind the knob to it. That's the end of the null point. All throttles of this type, irrespective of brand, that uses a potentiometer, they have a dead section. It's part of the way they're made, and it's always been like that. So at that point I shall now wind a touch further, and you'll see the loco starting to creep. Remember, this is an LC decoder, the early non-Tsunamni, non-quiet decoder. So you get a bit of hum from the back motor. And we wind the throttle up slowly, and the loco revs up and takes off. Shut the throttle, and this loco slows down. All my diesels have the original LC decoder. I've never bothered going up to a Tsunamni on any of these, but they will have wows eventually. After 14 years they've all done a good service. So we shall go into reverse and do the same thing. Wind the throttle slowly. You would normally use two hands for this, one to hold the throttle, one to turn the knob. And I'm doing it because I've got a camera in the other hand. We stop there. I finished with that loco. I'm going to put the throttle down so nobody knows what's on the throttle or what's driving that. So hash 99 hash calls up a fictitious loco, and anyone can pick the throttle up, and they're not going to put something into the ditch on the other side of the layout. These are the two other throttles, the radio throttle and the newer T5000 throttle. The throttle on the left works exactly the same way as the tethered throttles, has a pot, so has a limit and a starting point. The throttle on the right, which says 815, one of the switches, that has the run round and round and round and drive on round forever type knobs. Don't particularly like them because you can't feel where they are, which means you have to keep looking at the display instead of looking at the loco. This has a few other features, and it's not a bad throttle except for that round and round thing, the silver round and round thing. I'm old-fashioned. The two locos we're going to use to show you how to drive with these throttles, 3125, you can see it in front with the yellow border, that has a wow. The one with the pink border or banner is 815 and is a Tsunamni, and that one has appeared in quite a few of my videos over the years. It's my favourite loco. So first of all we will drive 815, and the card will tell an unfamiliar owner what functions are on this particular decoder. It says F3 markers. I haven't put them on yet. It's something I mean to do, but I haven't got to yet. It's one of those things. So we take the throttle. We'll start with 815, my favourite switcher. It will run forward and backwards at the correct speed. Being a switcher, maximum speed is 20 miles an hour, and it's set for that on my speed trap. So I don't have to worry about people, the DCS people as I believe they're described these days. The DC syndrome, wind the throttle a touch, didn't move, wind it all the way to the other end and wait for it to go too fast. I'm told that's called DCS in the USA. So all locos are quiet until they're called up. I've called up the loco. I turn on the headlight. And you can just see a touch of firebox flicker behind the rear driver. And we'll move him forward slowly. Bell's ringing, he's ready to go. Not going anywhere. That's because it has a brake. We release the brake, and now we have released the brake. Two for forward. This is a Tsunamni, and as you can see you can't get them to run slowly. They take off like a rocket every time. We're now up to half speed, as you can see on the throttle. And we wind the throttle back and it coasts. We want it to stop, we press the brake. Another freight train going through in the background. Reverse. You heard the power reverser on this machine. and we go backwards. Three shots of the whistle to go in reverse. That's automatic, I've programmed that in. The bell is automatic at very low speed. And it will go through the yard, quite comfortable at a respectable speed. Turn the throttle off and apply the brake. Then we do the same with a different loco. This time the switcher behind it. This time we will run the switcher behind it. 3, 1, 2, 5, which, as the card shows, is a wow from TCS. Headlight, bell, whistle, short whistle, whistle quill, water stop, apply brake, release brake, and marker lights. Again, I haven't fitted the marker lights yet. I've printed the card ready. The part that's missing off this particular loco that I removed, for those who don't know, that's brake squeal in the background. So we enter, same as the other throttle, we press hash or enter. Three, 1, 2, 5, enter, and we have the loco. We can test by pressing 2, function 2, and we get a whistle. Noisy thing. This is a model of a Chinese prototype, the Chinese SY class. There's one of these running in New England in America, and sounds a little different to an American loco, but most people wouldn't know the difference anyway. So we'll take him forward. Again, 1, 2 blasts for going forward. It hasn't been running for a little while, so you can hear the cylinder cocks hiss. Again, maximum speed on this one is 20 miles an hour. So we are now doing half speed. Press reverse, and she'll stop very reasonably quickly. There's not a lot of drift on these at that speed. And then she comes backwards. Wind the throttle up and we get a harder chuff. We'll pick up a string of cars. Apply the brake. Go forward. We should have the cars. This guy loves the whistle. Got 40 whistles to choose from, so you can select one that's a little quieter and a little shorter on its blasts. We'll wind him up. Now she's drifting. You can hear the drifting valve. Watch your brake. One blast to tell me she stopped. And we'll bring her back again. It's that simple. The operator is described as DCS, wind the throttle all the way up, they take off full speed, then they shut the throttle and expect them to stop on a 2-cent piece. But that doesn't work. So you don't have to look at the throttle, you don't have to look at the loco when you're switching. You can set the next car up ready and listen to the whistles and you know what's happening. We do have another loco parked out on the interchange track, 3039. This is a Genesis loco. Give him a backlight. And just started moving and away she goes. Again, she's been standing for more than 3 minutes, so we get the automatic cylinder cock hiss. The faster we wind the throttle because of back EMF momentum. And she's drifting. Because it's a road loco, it has a maximum speed of 30 mile an hour. This one's doing 32, it's waiting to be adjusted. That's why it's out on that track. We go forward again. As we take the load off, back the regulator, the chuff's not as loud. That can be adjusted. Everything can be adjusted on these. That's how to drive the locos. Very simple. With the Tsunamni diesels, I don't have one here at the moment to put on the track. No, I haven't got any here. When you're coming down a hill, as a steam loco drifts and you get the drift valve, on a downhill descent, you press 4, which turns on the dynamic brake. Now you can set the dynamic brake so that the engine will drop back to idle when it's on, or it will drop back to notch 4, or it will go through to notch 8. EMDs and Alcos that come past my place, they drop to idle. The GEs, they drop to a notch 4, so I can set that up in decoders as well. Although the locos going past my place are Australian, the principles are the same, similar, and virtually the same engines. Here we have 3 signals. We have a passing track on the hill. The main line is the one on the outside with the green signal. The one on the inside is the red to hold any locos coming down the hill for those climbing. The one to the extreme left is a signal that protects the turnout going into the paper mill. If I change the route so that the passing track's in use, see they both go to red, which both means stop. When it's all the way over on the turnout and it locks, then we get the green for the other position. The same for the machine, for the signal further down, which is to signal number 7. We've changed it, it's going over, and it'll stay in that position to protect trains. Now I will press the button to bring it back. The turnout's moving, but the signal's still on red until the turnout gets all the way across. That's how all my signals work. I only have one that does a detection, and that comes on to red for 20 seconds, then goes to amber for 20 seconds, and then back to green. Not really a detection signal. When going towards a signal, we have a similar thing. There are two signals down the end. One is green, one is red. We change the turnout, and the signal will go to amber. This will show that you're taking the diverging track. I don't have a red on this one. It's not used. It's there if I ever want it, but at this point in time I can't see it being used. And the two signals down the end, further down the track, will have changed the same as this. So we throw the turnout back, and that's now we'll show you different methods of uncoupling that can be used on this layout. We have a magnet at the throat of the yard, and we can reverse the train back towards it, and you'll see by the first car what happens to the coupler when it goes over the magnet. And you can see the coupler goes to one side and then back again. So we use that to uncouple, and I'll show you how. I've known people who've been model railway, well, we'll call them operators, for 10 years, and they don't know how to do a delayed uncoupling. Now we're going to use the flat car, the gap between two flat cars, so you can see what's happening. We put the brake on to get him out the way. So going forward. Hit the brake. Pull forward. Brake. Go backwards again, and you'll see the two couplers don't hook up. The two flat parts of the coupling engage. So I can now push that back into the yard. Stop. Go forward. The car stays where it is. Nice and simple. There are 3 magnets on the layout, 2 of them in hard to get to places, and this one is in the yard, so I can be lazy, sit down and run the layout all on my own without any problems. Now we go back and we'll collect those cars. The other method of uncoupling is the twizzle stick. Twizzle stick is a standard skewer with a wall plug pushed on the end to make a nice handle. Nice and straight, nice and easy to use. So we'll back our train up. So you can see the uncoupling. There we are. Stop the train. The couplings are compressed, so we go down the gap in the middle, turn clockwise, and let the train go. And that's it. This is a little tool that I bought in the USA called a knuckle buster. It's got a magnet on the end that looks like a piece of code 100 rail with a little magnet. You put it against the side we're under load, so we back off. We put it at the side of the coupling, and as the train moves forward, it uncouples. Nice. It does have a light built into it, so you can see in the dark bits between boxcars. The next method is, I believe, used by a number of people in the US. We hook the glad hand and pull it to one side, and the train goes forward. It's good between boxcars. These particular units are good. They're homemade, of course, because they have a light. Pull the hook across, the train moves forward, and they're uncoupled. Nice and simple. The other two methods of uncoupling are picking the car up and moving it. Definite no-no. And the other one uses, I have one somewhere but I can't find it, the Rix tool, which sits across between the cars. That's good if you're running cheap rolling stock, but if you've got the detailed rolling stock like KD, Intermountain, Red Caboose, and a lot of the newer brands, you just tear off the end ladders, the handrails, so they're not allowed in here.